My child, I have waited for you, not for a moment, but for a long stretch of stillness, watching to see if you would sense that something was moving near you. I do not usually wait. I act, but this time I held back because I needed you to feel the weight of what I am about to say. Something has been working against you in the quiet places. And tonight, that work comes into the light. For a long while, there has been a pressure around your life that you could not name. You felt it in your chest before you ever found words for it. You felt it in the nights you could not rest. In the mornings that felt heavier than they should have. I tell you now, that pressure was real. It was not your imagination, and it was not weakness. It was the sound of something hidden trying to stay hidden, and of heaven refusing to let it. There has been a quiet effort to watch your life from the shadows, to study your steps, your decisions, your private hopes, so that what is coming for you could be slowed or stolen before it reached your hands. This was never going to be allowed to finish. I have seen every hidden hand that has moved against you, and I tell you plainly, none of it will be permitted to stand. You do not need to understand every detail of what has been working against you. You only need to know that it has been found out, and that I am the one who found it. I do not let what belongs to you slip away into someone else's hands, or let what was meant to bless you be twisted into something used against you. Before you even knew there was a battle, I was already standing in it. This is not a message to frighten you. It is a message to wake you. There is a difference between fear and awareness, my child. And what I am giving you tonight is awareness. Fear keeps you small and hidden. Awareness sets you free. I want you to walk forward today, no longer wondering what was happening around you, but knowing with full confidence that I was watching over every part of it. Think of the quiet seasons of your life. The ones that seem to drag without reason. The doors that seemed to stay shut no matter how hard you pushed. There was a purpose hidden inside those delays. What looked like absence was never absence. I was working behind what your eyes could see, clearing a path that you could not yet walk because it was not yet ready to hold you. My beloved, you have carried a weight that was never fully yours to carry. Some of it came from those who studied you only to find a way to slow you down. I have always seen every restless thought, every unspoken worry, every prayer you whispered when you thought no one was close enough to hear it. I received everyone. Tonight, I am lifting the veil on what has been happening in the unseen places around you. I am not doing this to alarm you, but to free you from carrying suspicion you could not explain. You were right to sense that something was off. You were right to feel that your peace was being tested by forces beyond your own mind. And you are right now to feel the shift beginning because the season of hidden interference is ending. And the season of open blessing is starting to rise in its place. There is no plan against you that can outlast my hand over your life. I want that truth to settle into your bones tonight as a foundation you can stand on. What was meant to confuse you will instead become the very thing that clarifies your path. What was meant to delay, you will become the proof of how carefully I have been guiding your steps all along. Let your spirit rest in this moment. You do not have to carry the weight of figuring everything out tonight. I am not asking you to investigate what was done in the dark. I am only asking you to trust that I have already handled it, and that what comes next in your life will carry my fingerprints, not the fingerprints of anyone who tried to stand in your way. I know there were nights you lay awake, turning over the same question in your mind, wondering why peace seemed to keep slipping just out of reach. You searched for a reason in your own choices, in your own failures, when the truth was never about what you did wrong. I want you to release that searching now. Nothing in you was broken. Something outside of you was working against the timing I had already set in place, and I have stepped in to set it right. There is a kind of love that does not wait to be asked before it moves. That is the love I carry for you. I did not wait for you to notice the danger before I acted against it. I moved because you are mine, and because what concerns you has always concerned me first. Even in the seasons when you felt forgotten, I was already in motion on your behalf, working in places you could not yet see. So tonight, let this be the moment you stop bracing for disappointment and start opening your hands to receive. The heaviness you have carried was never a life sentence. It was a season, and seasons change. I am asking you to lean into the truth that I have already gone ahead of you, clearing every obstacle that was set in your way before you ever knew it existed. Hear me clearly, my child. You are not walking into this new chapter alone, and you are not walking into it unprotected. Every hidden thing is being brought into the light, not to shame anyone, but to free you completely. What was done to slow you down has instead become the very reason your next steps will move faster than you ever expected. I am turning what was meant to harm you into the foundation of what will carry you forward. Declare your amen if your heart receives this truth. There has been a battle taking place around you that you could not see with your natural eyes, but your spirit knew it. You felt a shift in your surroundings, a tension you could not explain. Something was working to study your steps, your finances, your relationships, your private hopes, all so that the good things prepared for you could be slowed before they ever reached your hands. I tell you now that effort has failed. I do not let what belongs to you fall into the hands of those who only mean to take from you. I have watched over your path with a closeness you cannot fully measure. And when I saw the scheme forming against you, I moved swiftly to dismantle it. The moment your name was threatened, I stood between you and what was coming, and I have not moved from that place since. You may wonder how something so hidden could be so thoroughly undone. My child, nothing stays hidden from me. What is whispered in secret, I hear, as clearly as if it were shouted across an open field. There is no scheme crafted against you that I have not already seen the end of. And I tell you plainly, the end of this one is your freedom. Those who tried to gain an advantage over you by watching from a distance did not understand what they were dealing with. They saw only the surface of your life, your circumstances, your struggles, your slow seasons. They did not see what I see. The calling I placed inside you long before you understood it yourself. What they tried to study and exploit was never truly available to them because you belong to me. I want you to release any urge to retaliate or to chase down every detail of what was done against you. That is not your work to carry. Your work is to walk forward in the freedom I am giving you while I continue to handle what was set in motion against you. I am asking you to release it because I am already taking care of it more completely than you ever could on your own. There will be people who acted strangely during this season, who said things behind your back, who pulled away without explanation. Do not chase them for answers. I do not need you to expose anyone. I only need you to trust that nothing escapes my sight, and that whatever was done against you in secret will eventually be made plain. Not because you forced it into the open, but because truth always finds its way into the light. This is not a season for arguing your case to people who already made up their minds about you in the shadows. This is a season for standing still and letting me move on your behalf. I fight differently than the world fights. I do not need confrontation to bring justice. I work quietly, steadily, and completely until what was meant to harm you becomes the very thing that establishes you more firmly than before. You are not the same person who first felt that strange unease settle over your days. What felt like confusion was actually a kind of protection, keeping you alert while I worked behind the scenes to dismantle what was forming against you. That unease was never a sign of weakness in you. It was a sign that your spirit was paying attention even when your mind could not yet make sense of what it was sensing. Let your shoulders soften now. Let the tension you have carried for so long begin to release. You do not have to stay on guard the way you have been. I am the one standing guard now. And I do not grow tired. And I do not look away. What was being built against you has already started to fall apart piece by piece in places you cannot see. And soon you will begin to notice the difference in how your days feel. This exposure is only the beginning of a much larger work, one that will touch every part of your circumstances and your sense of who you are. There is a kind of relief that comes only after a long season of bracing for impact. You have lived with a low hum of caution underneath everything, a sense that you could not fully relax, even in moments that should have felt peaceful. My child, that hum is beginning to quiet. You will notice it in small ways. First, an easier breath, a calmer thought, a night of sleep that comes without the usual weight pressing down on your chest. I want you to understand why I allowed you to sense this struggle before I fully revealed it to you. It was not because I delayed in protecting you. It was because I was preparing your spirit to recognize my hand the moment it moved. Instead of removing every difficulty without you ever sensing the battle, I let you feel the weight so that when it lifts, you will know without question who lifted it. This is how I work in the lives of those I love. I walk through the struggle with you, and then I show you afterward every place where my hand was already moving. Looking back, you will see it clearly. The strange delays, the doors that would not open, the people who pulled back without warning. None of it was random. All of it was connected to a larger protection you could not yet perceive. Do not let bitterness take root in the soil where I am trying to plant something new. Bitterness will only slow the freedom I am offering you now. Release it into my hands instead, and let me carry what was never meant for you to hold. You are stepping into a season where my protection will feel less like a shield held up against attack and more like an open field where you can finally run without looking over your shoulder. That is what I am building for you now. A place of safety so complete that you forget what it felt like to be afraid. Declare your faith today. Say, I trust the one who sees what I cannot. My beloved, I want to speak now to the part of you that has felt unseen for far too long. There were nights when sleep would not come easily, when your mind turned over the same worries again and again, and you wondered if anyone, even me, noticed how heavy your spirit had become. I noticed. I was there in the dark hours, close enough to hear every unspoken question, and you were never carrying that weight alone, even when it felt that way. The heaviness you experienced was not a flaw in your faith. There are seasons where the unseen battle presses harder against a person's spirit, not because they are weak, but because they are positioned for something significant. And what is significant always draws resistance. You were not falling apart during those difficult months. You were standing firm in a fight you could not fully see. And your endurance through it has not gone unnoticed by me. I know you searched for reasons. You wondered if it was something you ate, something you said, something you failed to do that left you feeling so unsettled. My child, release that search. Not everything that disturbs your peace originates from your own choices. Some of it comes from forces working against the calling I have placed on your life. Forces that understood that something good was forming in you and tried to smother it before it could take shape. But smothering what I have planted has never once succeeded. Not in all of history. And it will not succeed. Now, what was meant to discourage you has instead become the proof of how close you are to a breakthrough. The resistance you felt was not a sign that you were far from my blessing. It was a sign that you were standing right at its edge, close enough that the opposition could feel its threat to whatever was trying to hold you back. I want you to think differently about every restless night from here forward. Instead of remembering them as evidence that something was wrong with you, remember them as evidence that something was about to change. Discomfort before a breakthrough is not unusual. It has always been part of the process, the tightening before the release, the tension before the answer arrives. You are closer to that release than you have ever been. There is a kind of tiredness that comes from carrying something for too long without setting it down. I see that tiredness in you now. And I am asking you gently to lay it at my feet. Not because I demand it of you, but because I want to carry what was never meant for your shoulders. You were not designed to hold the weight of unseen battles by yourself. You were designed to walk in partnership with me, where I take what is too heavy, and you walk forward lighter, freer, and clearer than before. Let your body feel this truth, not just your mind. Take a slow breath right now, and notice how your shoulders soften even slightly at the idea of setting something down. That is the beginning of the release I am offering you. It will not happen all at once, but it begins the moment you choose to stop gripping so tightly to what has exhausted you and start trusting that I am capable of holding it better than you ever could. This season of unexplained heaviness is closing. I am not telling you that every difficulty disappears overnight, because growth rarely works that way. But I am telling you that the deepest part of the struggle, the part that left you wondering if you could keep going, has already passed its peak. From here, the climb becomes easier because I am walking closer beside you than I ever have before. I have carried you through the heaviest part of this season. And now I ask you to walk with me into the next part, the part that requires your trust to take a visible form. Faith that stays only in the heart can grow stagnant. Faith that moves outward into action becomes a doorway. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. I want you to understand what happens on my side when you take this step. I do not ask for this offering because I am in need of anything from you. I ask because the act itself loosens what has kept you bound to fear and scarcity. Every time you have held something too tightly, afraid that letting go would leave you empty, you have unknowingly closed a door that I was trying to open. Think of the times you have watched a closed hand and an open hand side by side. A closed hand can hold what it already has, but it can receive nothing new. An open hand may feel exposed for a moment, but it is the only hand capable of receiving what is being given. I am asking you to become an open hand today, not because I want to take something from you, but because I want to fill what you release with something far greater than what you let go of. This is not about earning my favor. My favor over you was settled long before this moment. Long before you ever considered an act of trust like this one. This is about aligning your actions with what you already believe in your heart. Faith without action remains theory. Faith expressed through release becomes a living testimony, one that you will carry with you long after this moment has passed. My child, what was delayed in your life is now beginning to move. I know it has felt at times as though doors stayed shut no matter how patiently you waited outside them. I know there were seasons when you watched others receive what you had been hoping for, and you wondered quietly if your turn would ever come. Your turn has not been forgotten. It has been prepared carefully in places you could not yet see, and it is arriving. The waiting you endured was not empty. It was not wasted time spent in a holding pattern with no purpose. Every season of delay was a season of preparation, both for you and for the very things you have been hoping to receive. Some blessings cannot be released until the one receiving them has grown enough to hold them well. And I have been shaping you into someone capable of carrying what is coming. You will begin to notice small shifts first before the larger ones arrive. A conversation that goes differently than you expected. A sense of clarity where there used to be confusion. An idea that arrives fully formed, as if it had been waiting for the right moment to reach you. These are not coincidences. What was taken from you